Some doors that are closed doesn't mean every door is closed to you. Some doors are going to be open. You just got to be patient and wait.
100%. Number one, research shows that people in happy marriages live longer, healthier lives, but toxic relationships can increase the risk of depression by up to 40%.
Oh, wow.
Fact number two, in the U.S., about 40 to 50% of marriages end in divorce. And, that's something that we definitely can dive into a little bit more. Yep. For second marriages, the divorce rate is even higher.
Ooh. I'm ready for it. I want to be down.
Hey.
I want to be down with you. No matter the time, all day and night, it's true. I want to be there. Okay. We get it all out of our system? I don't know, man.
Maybe.
Look,
we'll see during the podcast.
I can save it, yeah.
We're going to see during the podcast. I think so. Hope you like it.
We got to breathe through this one. So you got to enjoy life, man. That's what life is all about, is taking over the moment.
Be too happy.
Hey.
It's Chris Sapp.
We Foster.
Mental Health Boys. And we back for another one. And we, man, I feel like we on part 1 million, actually. It's part 3. Well, part 3
part 1 million of this?
Yeah, just, talking about relationships.
Okay.
But now, man, we talking about something sacred.
Ooh, what we talking about? What we talking?
We're going to dive more into romance. And I would just say marriage, but that's not fair. Because oftentimes people are in serious relationships and they treat it almost as if they are married. So, I'd say serious relationships / marriages.
Okay.
Definitely leave a like, subscribe.
Please.
All of that.
Talk about our sponsor real fast. Before we dive in, Foundations to Success. Yes. www.foundationstosuccess.com. Go ahead and, hey, if you've been on the site, go back to the site.
Go back.
Go back to the site. There's some new features on the site.
Come back.
Yeah.
Come back.
Come back to me.
Please don't go me.
Yes.
All right.
So go to the site. You'll see some new features on there. Some new things going on. It seems like there's 2 psychiatric mental health nurse practitioners that are Foundations to Success that are able to. They even.
So that means you get some medication management.
Yep, and you can get.
Ain't no way you get out there.
Tell her.
Ain't no way you get that too.
Yep, that too.
No, ain't no.
Yep. Psych evaluations?
What? No.
Psych evaluations, yes.
No way.
Oh, yes.
Ain't no way.
Yes.
And mental health skill better intensive at home community stabilization services, mobile crisis response service. Ain't no way all that one package. Ain't no way.
You forgot substance use evaluations.
Ain't no way. I refuse to believe it.
Totally way.
Check out Foundations to Success, y'all.
Yes.
You ready for some facts, man?
Give us the actual factuals.
I know how much you love the actuals and the factuals.
I love it.
I love them both.
Yes.
All right, so for starters, number one, research shows that people in happy marriages live longer, healthier lives, but toxic relationships can increase the risk of depression by up to 40%.
Oh, wow.
Fact number 2. In the U.S., about 40 to 50% of marriages end in divorce. And, that's something that we definitely can dive into a little bit more. Yep. For second marriages, the divorce rate is even higher.
Ooh.
Now, I really wanted to share that fact because, it can be taken a lot of different ways. And I think it's something that we can talk about, whenever the time is right throughout the podcast. But I thought that was an interesting fact to bring up. So
I agree.
Keep that in
I keep that in my peripheral right there.
Your Professor X brain.
Gotcha.
So, y'all, like I said, today we're talking about serious relationships, marriages, how they can impact your mental health, ways to navigate them, communicate better, and problem solve in order to increase the likelihood that you'll have a healthier and more productive meaningful relationship, man.
Right.
So, I know there's a lot of different places that we can start at, man, but I'm married, you're married. I guess I'll turn the floor over to you, man. Like, what has been your experience, just in general, with marriage? Like I said, this is my first marriage. This is your...
It's my second marriage. So, yeah. And it's by far not a sensitive topic for me to talk about. I've been married for 20 years, actually. My first marriage. I married out of high school, to somebody that I really, really loved. Mm-hmm. That was a pivotal point of my youth. Me and Kiki, we grew together. Mm-hmm. We grew with the kids together. It was amazing. We gave our life to the Lord around the same time. We thrived. We had a ministry called Covenant Mind Ministry. We traveled all around the world doing that. It was amazing. K&K Moms, they were our managers. And man, they introduced us to so many so many people, man. I mean, you know, from Egypt Haddon to Fred Hammond to Mary, I can go down on and on and on with people. But you know, there were things within our relationship that we noticed that we started kind of drifting apart.
Mm-hmm.
But within that 20-year stretch, I would say we always worked on communication, which was one of the biggest things that helped.
I would love for you to elaborate on that, but can I ask you a question, and only if you feel comfortable discussing it?
Yeah.
What does drifting away, what does that look like?
Ooh, drifting away.
Yeah.
I'm glad you...
Because
Hey,
I feel like we hear it a lot.
Good question, yeah.
But I don't, you know, what does that look like? Because I feel like it could be different to different people.
Yeah, it can be. So you can kind of find yourself in a relationship where you feel like you're giving more than the other person. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when we catch ourselves in a moment, we're like, well, I feel like I'm giving more than you. Truth be told, there are going to be times in a marriage that you're going to give more. You feel like you're giving more than that other person. And it could be different things that cause that to happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, we go through crisis within our marriage. I mean, we go through life changes. You know, individuals get diagnosed with certain things like cancer, trauma hit, grief. We've talked about with grieving. Yeah. And, you know, that hits different. You know, I mean, we say sickness and health, right? Do us part.
That's what they say.
You know, so we say that, but we say it's all based on what the mind can handle. You know, God's ways are not our ways, nor his thoughts our thoughts. We don't have all the answers to life, but we have an expectation of life. Is it crazy that we have an expectation on life? Say that again. We have an expectation on our life. Mm-hmm. So that's a condition. A condition in a marriage is considered, truth be told, a contract, not a covenant. Yeah. Now, the difference between the two is a covenant is supposed to be something that's everlasting. Yeah. It'll never go away. A contract, there's already like, I mean, you got to read probably at the bottom, some fine print down there that says, you know, these conditions will always be met as long as these expectations are met. So within a relationship, we know that like infidelity is a big one. It could really ruin a marriage. I mean, in some cases, a lot of people will actually use scripture for that as well. And they'll say, you know what? My marriage is done. We're no longer going to be married. However, there are other people that actually make it through that. Yeah. And I mean, what makes that marriage special that they can make it through something like that?
That's an interesting question, man. And I think one of the biggest things for me with marriage that I learned is that I think as a society, we have a hard time accepting that a successful marriage isn't universal. It's not a one size fits all thing. It looks different for different people. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like you said, and I guess it's a good transition into what you were saying, communication. If there's no any relationship, like we always talk, and we talked about this in the previous episodes, any relationship, there has to be communication so that expectations can be communicated.
And that's the drifting apart, the drifting away part. Yeah, like what you're saying, without communication, that's how you drift. Mm-hmm. But did we ever talk about like the 5 love languages? And we talked about the birds. We did.
Yeah, we've touched on it. Yeah, definitely.
The eagle, the ostrich and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, you get to a point where you feel like you're putting in so much that you're just like, you know what? You just like waving that white flag. You're like, look, I'm putting in way more in this relationship than you are. And if I got to get an extra person to kind of help, you know, like a therapist or whatever, we just can't do it. You know, I feel like I just can't, you know, it's not, you know, getting to you or something. And a lot of people, they feel like that, you know, the whole 80-20 rule, they feel like, you know, they're giving 80% and they'll deal with the 20% of whatever they, you know, don't want in that relationship. But then again, they're like, man, I feel like I'm putting in all the work and they ain't putting in no work.
I think what's interesting about that perspective, though, is that if you talk to, for starters, I hate that we like to pair genders together. I mean, like we like to pair people in the same gender together.
What you mean?
It's like, you're a man, so that means you're doing this. This is how you're going to respond to a different situation. And you're the woman, so you're going to be sensitive. And you're going to do this, da-da-da-da. You know how many relationships I've seen where traditional male characteristics or qualities the woman possesses and vice versa? So first of all, I hate when we have to stop making assumptions. We have to look at people as individuals, you know? And that's...
What does that mean?
It means that just because you belong to a group doesn't mean there's a hive mindset. Okay. You know what I mean? Everybody is an individual. And it's unfair to say that, oh, well, she's a woman, so of course she's going to try to use you for your money. Or, oh, he's a man, so of course he's going to cheat. Or like, I think when you go into, I mean, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Like gender stereotype?
Yeah, very much so. And I feel like when you approach people that way, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy where you're going to talk yourself right into being in a situation where you do.
I like where we're going with this.
Yeah, definitely, man.
You kind of sound like you're saying something about like how it almost sounds like what you're saying is that we we're married to somebody, but we allow outside environment, outside stereotypes to kind of influence our decisions. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. So what I was planning on leading up to, which I was getting a little long-winded with it, I wanted to kind of talk about how that relates to communication, because I feel like oftentimes we'll see somebody name, it's kind of like the ick thing or whatever. A person might see something and they're just like, like, I don't like that person did that, so I'm just gonna not talk to them. I'm just gonna be mad at them. Like you said, not communicating with somebody and letting them know like what you did or what you do bothers me, or it upsets me, it offends me. I feel like you said, communication is so key, because without it, we're just walking around holding grudges towards people that don't even know we're upset with them.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you told me this before, like, I remember we were talking in general, and you were saying like, you can't be mad at someone for doing something that you didn't let them know offends you or bothers you.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important in relationships, just being able to communicate. So one of the biggest things I think causes a lot of difficulty, and I wanted to kind of jump into this, and I think lack of communication is one of the things at the top of the board of common issues within marriages and serious relationships that make it difficult, or that can lead to marital strife. Mm-hmm. What are some other things that you would say make relationships difficult in your opinion? And if you need some time to think, I got one I can think of.
Well, you start off.
Okay. Fantasy versus reality.
Ooh, talk about it.
And I think, especially for people that haven't been in serious relationships or that haven't been married, I think that we do a good, and I mean, it's human nature. I think we do a good job of romanticizing every aspect of a marriage or relationship. And the truth is, that's not the truth all the time. They show all of the glamorous moments. It's very easy to fall into the honeymoon phase, but are you going to be able to deal with, tolerate, be around, communicate with this person on like a day-to-day basis? Like, not the extravagant dates, going out to spend money and stuff like that. That's going to be a very, very small part of your relationship.
The honeymoon phase.
Yeah. You waking up with this person. You're with them in the morning. You're with them at night. Like, I've seen people be compatible and break up for something as small as they got their morning routines were just so conflicting. They just couldn't figure it out. One of them like to literally, she said, he would just wake up, play his phone loud, watching ESPN loud, da-da-da-da. She was like, we would fight about it all the time, da-da-da, and just leading to us breaking up. We don't talk about enough small things like that sometimes. And so, like I said, it goes back to communication. But also, like I said, I think that some people go into relationships and there's a fantasy in their head. And I feel like it's unrealistic fantasy / expectation. So I think when you go into a relationship thinking that every single moment you're going to just have butterflies and just want to stare into this person's eyes for 24/7, like, if you really feel like that, you're going to go into, you're going to be disappointed. And, a lot of people don't deal well with that type of disappointment.
Wow.
And I've seen people
so true.
go on this everlasting journey and search for the perfect relationship, and they're never going to find it. And so I think understanding reality, which can be hard if you've never been married and never been in a serious relationship, but being realistic with yourself as opposed to trying to find, a perfect, you're never going to find anyone that matches everything. You might as well date yourself then. You might as well just carry a mirror around with yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's the case. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, so like I said, I think one of the biggest things is not that fantasy or those unrealistic expectations when they clash with reality.
Facts. I think I go back to the 80-20. What we can do is we could make the 20 look like it's like this big. And we can make the 80 look like it's like this little. And basically what we're doing is we're minimizing the success or the potential that our relationship can have. And oftentimes we're so focused on the problem. To be problem focused anyway is more like, I want to get to the root cause of what it is. But to be solution focused is, you know what? There's going to be problems. Problems don't define our relationship. We do.
Yeah.
So let's try to keep it solution focused. So for the 80-20, I would say learning how to minimize the 20 and maximize what you do have, the 80s. By doing this, you're actually allowing yourself to become a part. Somebody tried to call me.
No,
you're actually allowing yourself to become more a part of the solution versus a part of the problem. And this is essential to be, in a relationship, because you're focused on what's in front of you and not what's behind you. Because you can't change what's behind you.
Yeah, it happened.
And that's a big one for both of us. It's like when something does happen in a relationship that's unexpected.
Like, give me an example of an unexpected thing that might.
Let's go with trust. Trust is probably one of the biggest things that we could say, keeps a relationship from moving any forward. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and infidelity. Let's go ahead and throw it out there.
Cool.
So something like that, it happens, and once it happens, what's next?
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it really just depends on what a person's stance is on it. I know that some people don't really look at sex the same way that other people in a relationship do.
Agree.
Some people are more free about sex and sexuality. Others, and I met some that are just very, it's sacred. It's da-da-da. But like you said, that's why you have to be with somebody who I feel like there's certain ideals that you have to kind of at least be on the same age. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we don't, I know we kind of talked about this a little bit last time. I know we said we don't talk politics, but I feel like depending on how extreme you are politically, that ain't, if you're both on extremes of the other side, y'all could be compatible, but it might not work, man. Because I've seen people break up over, you voted for this person, so things like that. Things like wanting kids, things like, and this is a good transition into the one I was going to say too, finances. I think finances, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they said finances is the number one reason for divorce generally, correct?
Actually it is.
Why do you think that is, man?
I mean, finances is stability to a lot of us. And I say finances in a way where all I can think of is somebody's working all the time. Let's go ahead and let's give it the stereotypical version. Wife is working, providing things. She come home. He's still in his socks and his underwear playing a video game. So, I mean, I thought you were going to look for work. I thought you was, so it almost puts a lot of pressure on the person that's working, and the other person's not really assisting with that. And I mean, case in point, it could put a strain on the relationship to the point where, I mean, if you're not financially sound, you're talking about potentially losing your home.
And that's why I think it's so extremely important to, I don't know about you. Well, yeah, actually I do. We talk all the time. So I know we have very
Can we be really real though?
100%.
Can we go deeper in this?
Absolutely.
Like really real?
Let's go.
Nobody's going to say, well, because your finances aren't straight, I'm just going to leave you. Where's my keys? I'm getting out of here.
It never happens like that.
What typically happens is somebody starts drinking or somebody starts doing something else. And the voices gets louder and louder and louder. And you find yourself contemplating more and more with, hey, not pulling your weight. Now, a whole conversation happens while individuals are drinking. Let's be real. Things typically happen at that point. If somebody's holding something in and they've been biting their tongue for so long, they finally got to give a piece of their mind, right? And it can end in a very nasty situation, such as a domestic violence situation.
Let me ask you this. How big of a no-no would you say it is to try to have a serious conversation like that when both parties are intoxicated?
Never. Don't do it. Leave it alone. It's probably best because, they say that, of course, liquor is true serum, but it's probably best just to not talk about it. It's probably best not to putting gasoline on the fire, really.
And then once again, we're bringing back the major point, which I always will say, number one at the top of the list is still communication.
Yep,
but
it is.
It's even just combining that with finances. The reason why I say it's such a risky thing to communicate with anybody when you're that intoxicated is because, maybe it is true serum, but there's no shame in saying that you should put your thoughts together. And especially when you're talking to your partner, you should be sober and plan enough, present your thoughts to your partner in a respectable way, in a way that, so even if those feelings may hurt their feelings, I feel like being intoxicated, like you said, and I don't drink, so maybe I could be wrong, but I just feel like sometimes when you're intoxicated, it can come off a little more aggressive, it can come off a little more mean in a sense, and it can lead to a bigger argument. I think when both heads are clear, that's probably a better time to have a more appropriate and civilized conversation.
That's facts, because you're not in control. Under the influence, you're not in control.
Can I ask you another question about finances?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been in a position where you were doing good financially, and not saying that like you just went down to zero, but like the rug got pulled from under you?
Oh, yes.
What does that feel like?
It feels, for a man, I mean, it's humbling, but at the same time, it's humbling and embarrassing. It's a good word for it. It's humbling and embarrassing.
I think I would agree 100%. I felt like I was at my lowest probably when you hit me up at Dollar General. When COVID happened. I kept giving myself excuses. I kept saying, well, because you knew me. I had a full-time job. I had, other stuff going on and whatnot. But COVID just changed a lot. And we didn't know how things were going to go. I'll never forget when I got that first check, bro, from Dollar General. I looked at it and I was just like, this can't be life. Now, granted, everything only lasted temporarily. I think everybody was just scared. Nobody knew what was going to happen. I think the mental health field had to kind of just reset for a minute. And so, we picked it back up and we're fine now, but I was so embarrassed.
So if you can, the listeners don't really know the whole they don't know everything. So if you can, just share a little bit more background about what happened. So, we're not trying to diss nobody working at Dollar General at all. Not at all.
And I apologize if it came off like that. But I was working I'm not rich and I wasn't rich, but I was working a job where I was, decently taking care of my family as a mental health job. I had 2 roles, so I was able to get 2 checks, which is always dope. And then one day, I don't think we need to go into COVID because we all know what happened.
2020.
Unless you 4 years old or younger, you were there. And so they called us into the office and they was just like, yo, we gonna have to cut you in half.
Man.
Actually, we gonna have to cut you more than that because, I went from making 60 hours a week to, hey, we gonna do 30, and then the next week they were like, actually it's gonna have to be 20. And then it went down to, we just kind of week to week type thing. When I tell you, I wasn't me. I wasn't goofy anymore. And it really does show that, I know me, a lot of us take so much pride in providing for our family. I'm like, all I could think, I can't laugh and I can't, I can't joke around. I can't be being goofy and I don't even know if I'm gonna have enough to. So, I remember my whole mood, my whole personality almost changing, man. And so, yeah, it is. It's anxiety driving. It's embarrassing. And when I say embarrassing, not embarrassing that I work, because, man, I think I still got my little Dollar General shirt at the crib. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no shame in it. It was that I didn't know if I was going to be able to even have enough to take. I remember saying, man, I have to get that one ply. So, you counting dollars, man. And I just remember being embarrassed because I love my wife and I didn't want, I felt like I was letting her down.
That's the embarrassing part right there.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it right there. It's just the feeling of embarrassment is more internal.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with where we're working or anything like that. And, mine came when I was actually in a shift of a career and we just moved back home from Alabama to Newport News. And I just knew that there were getting ready to be layoffs down in Alabama. Trying to avoid those layoffs, coming up to Newport News, I got in those layoffs. And it was because I decided to step out and be a contractor versus working W-2. And so being a 1099 contractor for engineering, at the shipyard, I knew it came with the consequence of that. So I stepped out, made some great money, but of course you understand hindsight that you're going to potentially, you might get laid off.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened, and I couldn't find any employment anywhere. And I felt like it was best for my family to stay home in Hampton while I just went out looking for work, found some work in South Carolina. I was in the car. That's why I slept.
Do you feel like that journey, that hurt your relationship at all?
At that time, it made my relationship stronger.
Okay.
And it made my relationship stronger because first and foremost, I made sure my family was good.
And she got to see that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do whatever.
They saw the hunger.
Yeah.
They saw the hunger. And it took trust.
Yeah.
It took a lot of trust for that to happen. Like, hey, look, I got this. Take care of the kids. I'm going to go down to South Carolina, work for Spa Ward. I got it. God has a way of presenting things to where if we don't allow ourselves to be so consumed by thinking that we're a victim, this happened again. Oh no. Because as I got down there and I felt like I was in a groove of working, we were actually looking at houses and everything else. We were talking about moving there. I was really, Kiki wasn't. She was like, nah, I don't know about all of that. But I got called in that office and they said, your clearance is not coming back fast enough for us, so we're just going to have to go ahead and let you go. But God is good, because on my way home, that's when I got that phone call, and I was able to start my janitorial company. Hey, sometimes you gotta go through certain things to experience what you're getting ready to walk into. Some doors that are closed doesn't mean every door is closed to you. Some doors are going to be open. You just got to be patient and wait.
100%. First of all, man, I think that's dope, man. I just want to give you props for being willing to just go out there and get it. You know what I'm saying? But that's the type of time we always, me and you have always been on. I think that's why we work well together too.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Just real quick, if I could touch on the financial part one more time. I just have
sure, go for it.
Do you feel like, and maybe we shouldn't give our opinion on this because, of course, as we stated before, there is no right way. As long as it works for y'all, that's the right way. The right way is whichever way works for you and your partner. If both of y'all are happy with it, then it works.
That's right.
But it doesn't necessarily look the same for everybody. Do you have a preference on household, how it's, do you believe in male provide, woman stay home? Do you believe in dual? Do you believe in, or do you, or is it situational for you? And I'm only asking because I like to hear everybody's point of view on it.
Yeah, when I was younger, I would answer this based off of what I was taught. And
which was?
What I seen. And that was, I'm the man in the house, so that's all that matters. So that's kind of like, where, that's my household. My household's okay. The man of the house, he's going to say what he has to say, and everybody follows suit. I don't want to take that away. For me, it's more like whatever is needed in somebody's house. It's more situational. To me, there's classifications of men. A lot of people don't really probably, get that, understand that, but you got the betas, you got your omegas, you got your, not fraternity omegas, different omegas, but it's basically like a pyramid of guys. Betas are one way where they might say like Russell Wilson's a beta. I hate to say that, but
just based off the perception they have of him. Yeah,
the perception. That's it. His wife, she's in the limelight, doing her thing. People say whatever. Man, he got a career. He ain't trying to really mess with all these goons. Is trying to I don't want you to talk about the whole her thing with Future. I'm not gonna do that. But so
we throwing our hands up.
Exactly. But then you have guys that kind of feel like they're sigmas. They don't really classify themselves as a certain, like alphas. Yeah, alphas are those guys. This is my house. Whatever say goes. They like to have the last word. So there's different classifications of guys, and some guys are just cool and submissive. And they they don't mind their wife being in the forefront. So with all of that being said, it goes the same for women. I don't think there's a certain formula to follow when it comes to running a household.
Bingo. And it goes to, you know how I feel about this. I hate marital roles. I hate them. Because I feel like when you put perfect example is point guard is the guy who's supposed to, he's running the team. He's calling the plays. He's bringing the ball up. He's dishing. Right. Mm-hmm. But does he always? You might have a guard bring it down. You might have a forward bring it down sometimes.
So the point guard's he's not only a facilitator?
Exactly. You know what? Just because that's his main role doesn't mean it's his only role.
Can we use some examples, my good friend?
Absolutely. So
what's Russell Westbrook?
Well, okay. Talk to him.
Is Westbrook a facilitator?
He can be.
Or a scorer?
He can be both.
Oh, he can?
He can also get down in the post.
Ooh.
He gonna pull down some rebounds. He gonna play some defense.
Triple-double guy, huh?
Yeah. So he does a little bit of everything. And I feel like that's how, and this is, like I said, this is not how you have to run your household. But like I said, we're your host. You might want to learn more about us. So this is how I always believe. That I run my household the same way I run a basketball team. I feel like I'm more basketball than football in that regard. Because in football, if you a left tackle, you're never gonna be playing linebacker. You're never gonna be out running a fly route. Mm-hmm. I'm saying? That's your position. I think the role should be more fluid. The same way, now I make pretty good money. Thank you, Steve. I make pretty good money. But my wife works too. She said, I went to school for a long time to get my credentials, and I enjoy doing what I do. I don't take that away. So she brings money into the house as well. I may handle the bulk of the financial stuff, but she does as well. She contributes as well. I'm not home as much. My wife loves cleaning, so I may not contribute as much to the cleaning as she do, but I'm in there. I'm washing, I'm folding clothes, I'm cleaning right behind her. I'm never gonna be like, well, I'm a left tackle. I'm not gonna run the routes.
Come on now.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to. Sometimes you want to paint. Sometimes you might be at the 3-point line. Sometimes you might have to bring it up the court.
Playing different roles.
Playing different roles, brother. Playing different roles. But that's me. You know what I'm saying? And it works for us. But it's also because we communicated that. My wife told me from the jump, I'm not quitting my job. Period. And I had to make the decision if I was going to be okay with that. So if I would have said knowing that I wasn't okay with it, I'm setting my own self up for failure in that relationship. And it's also not fair to her, because then I'm going to start growing resentment towards her. But she's not even going to see it because I told her I was okay with it. So now I'm just quietly, building this resentment toward. That's not fair, man.
Quietly.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Quietly building a resentment? Does that happen? Does that happen in a lot of other?
It happens in a lot of relationships.
Wow.
Here's one that I don't think people talk about enough.
Okay.
Yes, we talk about two people. I think the one we always talk about is two people, they start from the bottom, and then one of them glows up as far as money and stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, you changed because you got money and stuff. But I'm not trying to get all super technical, but they say every 7 years, pretty much become a completely different person. Your habits change. And obviously we're still us. but ideas, hobbies, things we enjoy, things like there's foods that I used to like that I don't like anymore. There's foods I didn't like, I do like now. There's shows that I was like, this is amazing, and now I look back and I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
There's shows I look back at and said,
there's hairstyles that you had back, you'd be like, oh.
Exactly. And so it's like, when you take that into consideration, man, I think we don't talk enough about the fact that people grow and they change.
They do.
And
they do.
Oftentimes it doesn't mean that the two people are changing into bad people. They may just be changing into two different people that aren't as compatible with each other as they were at the beginning,
Right.
And so I think when you see that happening, you owe it to yourself and to your partner to have a talk with them and say like, hey, I'm noticing some things and I wanted to bring it to your attention. Maybe we can, talk about it.
Exactly.
Because if you just let it happen, it's not going to end well.
So you're talking about communication.
Talking about communication. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Because you want to know what's crazy, Steve? Every single topic we've discussed thus far always comes back to communication.
It does. It does. And a lot of times in relationships, you'll find yourself having a difficult time communicating. Or you're not listening to me. You'll, might spin off and say that, or you might hear that. If you do, it is a great indication to just stop. And just try to figure out why somebody would actually say you're not, because it says something. It's actually like a signal. You're not listening to me. It's almost like a cycle too. Truth be told, keep hearing it. Something happens. You're good. Everything's great. Boom. Do it again. You're not listening to me again. So not while you're drinking or anything else is going on, but really seriously in a calm situation where that you might have to plan, because a relationship is like a business too. You have to invest in it. If you're willing to invest in it, then it can get stronger. It can get better. The quality becomes a lot more solid. So you go to the ATM machine and you put your code in and you push that button, knowing you're going to get $100 and that jank say insufficient funds. It's because you didn't put anything into it. That's just like a relationship. You got to put something into it to get something out of it.
What I look like investing $5 and expecting $10,000 back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Ooh, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, I didn't put in what I look like betting on FanDuel.
Exactly.
Listen, if I want to make big money, what I got to do? I got to spend big money.
That's right.
I got to put in to get back.
That's right. That's right.
So if you bet a $5 bet, you might win $10. Hey, you put down 100, you put a little bit more work in there.
That's right.
Then I might win 200.
That's right.
I might get more back.
Exactly.
So you got to put in. I think this would be a great time to transition to this because we keep bringing up communication.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the core components of healthy communication.
Come on, talk about it.
Clarity, speaking with honesty and transparency instead of hinting or assuming.
Ooh.
This is huge.
I wanted hot sauce, not salsa on my burrito.
On my burrito. No. But that's a big one.
It is a big one.
And
assuming it's a big one.
I'm man enough to admit that early on, I've done that before, not just with my wife, but just in general. I'm that type of person that if I can avoid conflict, I will. I usually say conflict for a last ditch effort, but sometimes conflict is healthy. You know what I'm saying? And so, because conflict doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be rude and mean. Conflict literally just means a differing opinion, basically, in a sense. You know what I mean? So clarity, being able to, speak with honesty and transparency, timing, choosing the right time, not when emotions. And you kind of talked about that a little bit. Can you kind of go into a little bit more detail about why the timing when you communicate something is so important?
So if your spouse is at work, that's not the appropriate time to be talking about giving somebody a piece of your mind about how they left something on the stove or something like that. They're trying to work. So that type of timing is good. And also being able to sit down on the same neutral level, and being able to discuss something. I think that has a lot to do with time.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we joke a lot with each other.
Yeah,
and we joke. I'd say we joke the most in the morning because by then we ain't had a long, stressful day. This didn't tire us out.
That's facts.
But timing. If I come in and I see it look like he already having a rough morning, I'm gonna still keep that joke in my brain for later. Time is not right.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
and
right.
you should approach your relationships the same. If you need,
Wait. How do you? So you're talking about something else dealing with communication when you're talking about that with the timing.
What we talking?
You're talking about nonverbal cues.
Ooh,
Body
nonverbal.
language.
Yes, nonverbal cues can help communicate to you if the timing is correct or not. I know my wife well enough to know that when she has an aura about her. Oh, and I felt.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna turn off them notifications one day. But I know enough about her to know what nonverbal cues to look for to say like, all right, right now ain't really the time to be joking around with her. You know what I mean? Like it's not the right time. Or right now maybe it isn't the time to have this discussion with her because it might be something else bothering her.
You made a valid point about something.
Yes, sir.
Just now. And we talked about assuming, right? Does it seem like in some cases, I got to minimize what I'm saying because I don't want no tomatoes thrown at me. Like
boo, tomato.
Because I feel like in some cases, our spouse wants us to assume. And in some cases, the opposite wants us not to, but to not assume and ask.
So,
and you get one, the kitchen is looking really bad right now, and I'm going to walk right past it. I mean, a great assumption is to go ahead and clean it.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, let's go with actually asking.
Yeah.
I'm walking in and my body language is bad.
Yeah.
Baby, are you okay?
Yeah.
How was your day today? Is there anything I can do for you? So you see where the assuming and the expectation comes in?
Yeah, and you're right.
Based on body cues.
Yep. And you should. I think one of the most important things too about relationships is you need to learn your spouse. And you need to learn what things you do know bothers them or pisses them off and stuff like that. Because it might save you and help to boost her spirits without even having to talk to her. Like Facts. If I know, there
it is.
I've come home at times and one thing for certain, two things for sure. If my wife is in the crib for more than an hour, that kitchen gonna be clean. She just loves, she loves the clean house in general, but she do not play by that kitchen.
Oh, man.
So if I come in and I know she tired, man, I might go upstairs. Look, she laid out, be mad. She might, I might be like, man, let me straighten up the kitchen. Just so when she come down, she can be like, dang, like somebody, you know what I'm saying, clean up. Just because I know it'll make her feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is learning.
Yeah.
And wanting to kind of meet your partner where they at.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
Is that her love language?
Acts
of service? Quality time, acts of service?
I think it changes at times.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, quality time, but I have to revisit that.
Okay.
I have to revisit that because I would definitely say quality time, but I think there's others, especially now. Like, I think there's more, but like, I know that Toy just likes to be, she just likes to be appreciated. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Which is, as human beings, I think that's what most of us would like, man. So I try to do little small things like that just to let her know, like, yo, I know that when I'm not home, that you're doing, and I appreciate you. And let me do that for you, while you're sleeping and stuff like that.
So how long did that take for you to
learn it?
Yeah.
Probably a little, I'm willing to admit probably a little longer than it should have. I think moving in with a romantic partner for the first time, it can be difficult.
It can be.
And I say that not because she was difficult. I say that because two people have two different ideologies, ways of thinking, ways of doing things. Like,
Facts, yeah.
Like, you know how many times I've seen couples argue just from morning routines or night routines, like, why you gotta get in the bed and turn the TV up this loud? Or, oh my gosh, do you have to, have that fan blasting and so and so? Or you really gotta get up and sing in the shower at 6 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, it's even stuff that small that don't seem like it would be a big deal. Yeah. You got a dude who likes to sleep in and do not like his sleep disturbed. And you got a woman who, and I'm not talking about me, I'm just saying, like, and you got a woman who loves getting up early. She want to be like, the sun is out at 6:30. Something that small can lead to constant argument.
It can.
You know what I mean?
It can. Would you say that in some cases too? Like, that's just the nature of an individual. Just feels like they just have to express themselves in that way. They just have to talk like that. If you take it away from them, it's like you take their power away.
Yeah.
And what I'm referring to, I mean tomatoes, nagging. Or something, or maybe speaking your mind, speaking your mind or speaking your emotion. To me, there's a difference. But would you say that if you take that away, would you be taking that person's, how they communicate to where they just, okay, you don't want me to say it, I just shut down? Because in some cases, like we're talking about conflict resolution, I just kind of wanted to be real on this,
I don't know how people are going to take this, because I already know we didn't assign any genders to this, but I already know that where they're probably looking at when you say nagging.
You better watch out with tomatoes.
But what I'll say is, if you really love your partner and they're expressing to you that thing is bothering them, then don't hit me up. I do kind of feel like they should work towards, they can still ask you to do something, or they can still say, but I do feel like they should work on doing it in a less nagging, I guess if that's the word, way. Like, I feel like we should attempt to, I never feel like, well, this is just who I am should be an acceptable response. Unless we're talking about something now, like, if your girl or your wife says, I don't want kids, and you say, okay. And then you get there and you're like, you need to have kids. I mean, it's cool for her to say like, hey, you knew what it was. Like, that's a very life-altering, huge thing. But like, if your wife or your husband says, hey, I don't like when you yelling. I don't like when you talk to me loudly, especially in front of the kids or whatever. I feel like if you're in a serious relationship,
say it, brother.
It is your duty. I'm going to go as far, and that's not man or woman. That's anybody. If you love this person, it is your duty to at least attempt to meet them. Gotcha. Where they at. I don't feel like it's ever an extent. If I'm telling you something offends, Steve, and I mean, like I said, I hate to keep bringing it back to friendship, but it's all power. If I came to you and told you like, hey, Steve, like, I know when you give me these, tasks, I don't mind doing them, but man, like, you don't have to talk down to me when you say that. Yeah, I know you well enough to be like, I know you well enough to be like, it would hurt you that it hurt me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I know you would try to be like, well, I mean, I still need you to do the work, but I'm going to make sure that I try to present it in a way that's not making you feel like you're talking down to me. Yeah. You said a lot of stuff. I'm sorry. And I'm I did right.
No. You said a lot of good stuff. You got me over here rocking. Yeah. You said something. Activated. Yeah. In a way I am, because you mentioned something
powered up over there. Like, oh, man.
Level 2. But you said something very vital in this whole thing, man. And it's that we're with this person, and being with this person that we're married to, right? Mm-hmm. For better or worse, right?
Better or worse.
And you said that we change every 7 years, right? Mm-hmm. So if we change every 7 years, where do we get the data to change? And where does that data go for us to be not judged, but to actually get the criticism that we need to go back out and be the changed person that we are, especially if we're spending a lot of time at that place? Meaning, if I'm going to evolve as a person, things hit me in life, the best place for me to go in a non-judgmental place, because I like for my home to be a home of peace, a no judgment zone.
Agreed.
So I'm going to be vulnerable. And there are going to be some ugly things about me that I don't even like. I might not say it like that, but you'll see it. And just like how you said, hey, my delivery sucks, but that's just who I am. That's who I was. That is something right there for a person to say, you know what? I can't be defensive, because they're actually trying to help me. They're trying to help me become a better person. So instead of being defensive, in some cases, that's just how I am. You might say that, but Selah, meaning pause and really think on that, because the person that is your spouse is actually trying to help you become a better person. They're not attacking you. They're saying it to try to help you. Or, hey, you hurt their feelings, the person that really does love you. And you should take a moment to figure out, maybe I should change my delivery, or maybe I should. You could still be you. Just change how you say things.
And I
mean, is that okay?
No, I will 100% agree with you. But just to piggyback, I'll say this. If your spouse does present these things to you in a very respectful, well put together package, and you're still finding yourself raging or that upset, then you may need to look within yourself.
Ooh, come on.
And I want to ask one question, and it's a big one, but I want to finish this, because I know we're running long, because we spitting conflict resolution strategies, man. We ain't got to take a ton of time.
Conflict resolution. That's funny. I'm on the same thing. Go.
Use it, and we can go back and forth.
Go ahead.
Use set ground rules for disagreements. No yelling, no name calling, take breaks if needed. This should be done at the beginning of the relationship, or improved on as you go on through the relationship, so that you can avoid chaotic arguments.
Agree. Approach conflicts with respect and understanding. What I need from you is understanding. Okay. Of course, learning. I love this one. Learning to compromise. I love compromise.
Probably the most important.
Negotiating and compromising.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a part of you that's going to have to negotiate some stuff with the part of her, or vice versa. Or, you get what I'm saying. Like you said, take breaks. It's necessary. And of course, I got to say this, and we always got to say this with every podcast. Know when to seek professional help.
Yes.
It is extremely important to have a referee or a mediator between two sides that's able to translate, that's a great way of saying it, translate the complications and the conflicts that can arise within a relationship. Because you might be seeing a tomato and she might be seeing a tomato, or she might see a zebra with a horse with white stripes and you might be seeing a white horse with black stripes. I mean, it's perception. Know how to be a turtle and how to look at things from a giraffe.
Yeah.
Because a turtle sees things down here and a giraffe sees things up high.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And they looking at the same thing, but they look totally different.
Yes.
To the two of them. This is one I don't think I've ever seen, but I like it. It says, understand each other's conflict styles. Are you a pursuer? Are you the withdrawer? If you are the pursuer, willingly bring up the conversation because you know that the withdrawer they may struggle with it.
That's right.
And so that's one I haven't really heard much, but
I like that.
We have the same way we have styles of love. We have styles of how we handle conflicts too.
Oh yeah.
And so,
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. I mean, also look, we don't have all the answers.
Yeah, we don't.
So please, if you have something that you want to share, not just with us, with everybody about, a conflict, conflict resolution skills that you typically use, within your relationship, within your marriage, please put it in the comments. Let us know. Please.
Can I propose a challenge?
Man, propose the challenge, my friend.
I challenge you guys to have significant others, to do a check-in with your significant other, talking about maybe some things that trigger or stress you out, but also you want to sandwich that with good things. Also give them 3 to 5 things that you love about them to make you. One thing Steve always says is keep them smiling.
Oh yeah.
Steve always say, man, I keep my wife smiling.
Oh yeah.
Whether I'm joking with her, whether I'm doing something for her, whether I'm just singing a song that I know gonna get on her nerves, but you keep her smiling. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want to challenge you guys to do that, man. Like, you don't know how far a positive word can go for somebody, man.
That's right.
And so, when was the last time you complimented your girl or your boyfriend or husband? When was the last time you told them they look nice? The last time you told them, I think the other day, man, I was sitting there and my wife was talking, man. I was just like, really smart. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a small thing. Small things, man. Like, make sure you do those things. But I challenge you guys to do that. But Steve, before we end, I got a question for you.
Okay.
And it's one of those questions that you don't really like to talk about, but I think it needs to be talked about. I don't know if we're going to talk about it long or if it's going to be brief. At what point is it time to say, where do you think there's a point that you say, okay, maybe enough is enough and we need to separate? Because I know we say for better or worse.
Yeah.
But let's just be realistic.
Yeah.
Not everybody, that's not going to be realistic all the time.
Okay.
Where's the line?
I can speak from my own personal experience on that, but also I think that my personal experience might be very helpful to a lot of people. When you feel like your mental health is slipping, so where you have to have help.
Okay.
You just know you got to have help.
Yeah.
When I say mental health, I'm actually talking about a lot of different things. Depression, you don't do what you used to do. You don't love doing what you used to. You're more anxious, or you used to socialize, now you don't socialize. Or, you used to have a beer, or you used to drink some wine, now you drink a bottle of wine, or you drink a whole thing of beer, or you're drinking vodka liquor and you're leaving the bar drunk. You get a DUI or whatever. Not saying all these things have happened, but
and just to specify, I'm pretty
happen.
Sure he's referring to not necessarily if you have those issues, but if you have those issues and they kind of brought on by the relationship.
Yes, they eventually become a part. You find yourself adopting or having habits that you typically don't have. And they're not healthy for yourself, but you're coping with what's going on. You're trying to cope with it. You're trying to understand it. You're trying to get better with it. But at the same time, you're trying to deal with it. And it's like taking you under. It's affecting your sleep. It's affecting your eating. And those are concerns. Those are alarms. Those are the internal triggers that say we have got to do something because the state we're in is not healthy. And it could be internal. And that internal engine that's causing you to feel that way, truth be told, man, it could be, hey, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And you could find yourself being the only one feeling the way you do until you actually speak and communicate to not just your spouse or to somebody else about what's going on with you and what's inside you. So to answer your question, it's all predicated on the individual and how they feel like they are in that present moment. They feel like they can't really give it anything else. Then before they give up they should actually seek professional help first.
That professional help doesn't work then.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, everybody isn't necessarily for everybody forever. You know what I'm saying? Everybody isn't for everybody forever.
Yeah.
A person can be in your life for a certain period of time. And it's okay to accept that.
Yeah. I don't think we do a good enough job of understanding, like, just like with friends, man. And I know I don't mean to keep bringing back friends, but it's just like with friends. Well, remember we were talking about, like, just because you've been friends with somebody for 20 years doesn't mean you owe them the rest of your life.
Exactly.
You don't have to be friends with them. I'm not saying that, I'm not telling y'all to go dump all your friends and everything, but it's just like, if somebody becomes a net negative in your life, then maybe it is time to, separate. But like you said, I feel like, I'm glad you said, seek help first. Don't give up on it, because like I said, I mean, we do owe it to our partners to try. But now, I've only been in one marriage my whole life, thankfully. And I pray it continues as great as it's been going.
Sure.
But I think I'll answer just from what I heard a woman saying while I was watching like a documentary. And she said, when I looked in the mirror and didn't notice anything about myself, and every one of those changes was because of this relationship, she said, I knew I was at my breaking point. And so, like I said, I can't speak on that. But I mean, that if you stop recognizing yourself and you know that is the thing that's causing all of that, then it might be time, man. Yeah. This is a good one, man.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it's a good one. We're looking forward to doing a group, when it comes to things like this too, because like I said, we don't have all the answers. Yeah. We provide perspectives. And, hey, look, if that relationship that you're in, if you invested into it, I put 20 years in my marriage. The last thing I wanted to do was give up. But we actually felt like we were at a standstill. So, and that took years, counseling. That took time to get to that point for us to really recognizing it. So we had to acknowledge what we were recognizing together, and we were content with our decision.
Yeah, and I think too, man, it's hard to make the decision, because sometimes people get comfortable with being stagnant. You know what I mean? And they feel like, well, I mean, we're just here. And then you're kind of
codependent. Codepending on each other.
You're kind of just floating in limbo.
Yeah.
Because you're not separating to allow yourselves to grow into, and to be great going separate, where you're just kind of with that person and you're never going to expand past that room, man. So, I mean, that's a tough one to talk about, but I appreciate you being transparent and open about it too, man.
Sure.
Shoot, man. I mean, we went over. You got any parting words for the people?
Oh, man. I mean, just in anything that you do with your relationship, like Mr. Sapp said, communicate. Communicate. That's very vital. Part of that is listening and hearing. Two different things, but please, work on it. Don't give up. Continue to work on it.
And I'll just say, just remember this: no matter how angry you are in that moment, and I know I've been using crash out a lot. Please do not crash out on your spouse.
Please don't.
And we laughing, but seriously, like, you would be amazed at how much a walk could calm you down. How much, and everybody has their different thing. For me, let me play like 4 or 5 Tekken matches, just sitting there, just get my thought. Like sometimes I go in the shed and I might just turn the game on. I might be in the dark, just playing Tekken, looking like a weirdo. But you would be surprised at how much just taking a step back and allowing your brain and your heart and your feelings and your emotions to kind of calm down. You can come back to the table in a more reasonable.
We need to have a podcast on Man Cave.
Man Cave podcast.
Because it's a civilization.
Ooh. Okay, hold on. We got real quick. Can you give him a sample? Come on. I know we said we gonna stop, but can you just give him a sample?
We do.
What is the Man Cave?
Because
what is that, sir?
I called Buddy on this. And I walked in my man cave, and I promise you, I was walking with my head down, and the minute I got in there, it's like my chest went out, and I was out like this. And
you the superhero of your own, you know what I mean?
I felt like I was a god. Yeah. Or I felt like I had full control.
Yeah.
I had full control.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a place, and it's sad that the toilet is like one of the known places that guys feel like they got full control. I can say, I'm so sorry. Sorry. But so we have full control in an environment, and that's why they had the she shed, because it's not just for guys.
Yeah, no.
It seemed like we all want a place where we can feel fully in control, because when they go to a spa, or when we go to a spa, guess what's happening? They're not assuming. They say, you want these things, okay? You pick the packages, and they're not going to ask if you want them to get the left side or the right. They're assuming you're paying for the service and you want the best type of service. There's the assumption part.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's okay to assume in some cases. So, but I really believe that it's important for us to have that space to be able to do that.
You want to know what's amazing? And you already know, because you know, Steve can tell you, Toya, how much props I be giving you for
facts.
My wife not only is okay with my he shed, man cave, whatever you want to call it. She's the one that's always, because you know what I noticed, and we had to learn, like the room, when I go out to the shed, the room becomes her she shed.
Ooh, that's
you
right.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of it is that we don't get offended by it.
That's right.
She likes to watch her reality shows and watch whatever she watches on YouTube. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes I'll be like, nah, I'm going to the, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's her space. And
that's right.
There'll be times where I'll go in the shed and she's up there, she's watching her stuff, and you know, I'm in the shed talking to you, playing the game, watching NBA. I got darts out there. Like, she'll just call me and be like, hey, man, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. You good? She's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a beauty in that, man.
Yes, it is.
Because we're respecting, she knows where I'm at. She knows I'm safe.
Yep.
Ain't like we got women coming in and out the back of this shit.
Exactly.
Anything like
Exactly.
She knows where I am.
Yep.
I'm doing something that makes me happy, and then she gets her time as well. You know what I mean? And so if you're a woman listening to this, or not even just, I don't want to make it gender based, but if you're somebody and maybe you do have a spouse and they just want to have some time to go in their room and play their video game and stuff like that, like, we all need that time and that space to be individuals. And as long as they're not in there doing anything that's, you know, disrespectful to you, they're not sneaking people in and out the he shed or anything like that. Like, not only should you allow that person to have their time, but use it for your time too, because you deserve it too.
That's right.
You deserve it too.
That's right.
So yeah. That's my spiel for the night.
So this is a good podcast for us. As you can see, we value our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
We value our relationship. We value putting quality into it. So that's why this episode has been really full and long. So
Brought to you by Foundations to Success.
That's right. Foundations to Success.
Uh-huh.
Foundations to Success.
Hey.
Foundations to Success.
Let's get it.
Foundations to Success.
Let's go. Okay.
All right, guys.
For Sat,
Steve Foster.
we out.
Another episode. See ya.